Welcome back to Face the Nation. I'm John Dickerson, sitting in for Bob Schieffer. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is on his way to the United States. Before he left, he visited the Western Wall in Jerusalem. Netanyahu said although he respects President Obama, he strongly opposes the agreement the United States is working on with Iran, saying it could endanger our very existence. He later called his journey a fateful, even historic mission. Joining us now for some analysis on Prime Minister Netanyahu's speech to Congress on Tuesday, Jeffrey Goldberg of The Atlantic. Jeffrey, welcome. Would you take us out of this political back and forth, who invited who, and talk about the stakes of the U.S. relationship with Israel?
Well, the stakes are the U.S. relationship with Israel, and the even greater stakes are what is going to happen with the Iran nuclear deal. I mean, that is the historic feature here. And the interesting thing here, and in a way the kind of perverse genius of Netanyahu, is that he's made this week very much about the partisanship of this speech and his own election and everything else. But what we're facing is, and maybe this is what's going to happen on Wednesday after the Netanyahu speech, is we're going to realize that this is about a very dangerous moment for President Obama. I mean, he is moving toward a rapprochement with an historic adversary. He's about to make a deal that a lot of people, including people who support the idea of a deal, think might be weak. And so we're heading into an incredibly tense period, not only between Israel and the United States, but the United States and all of its Arab allies as well, who are also nervous.
You write that Netanyahu is hurting his own cause by giving this speech. What do you mean?
I mean that this is a fairly naked play for votes at home. He's going to standing for re-election on the 17th, on March 17th. He could very easily have come on March 18th or 19th to lobby Congress against an Iran deal. That won't even be done by that point, even theoretically. So he has done something that's even more dangerous than just sort of messing around with the Israeli political system. He's threatening to turn Israel into a partisan issue in the United States. The United States is Israel's second line of defense. Its first line of defense is its own army. Its second line of defense is bipartisan support in Congress and the American people. If he turns Israel into a wedge issue, one that separates Democrats from Republicans on Middle East issues, that's very dangerous in the long term for Israel.
And explain what you mean. You say President Obama is harmed by this on Wednesday. Why is he invested?
Well, no, after we put all the controversy of the speech aside, we're going to have to refocus our attention on what is actually happening on the Iran negotiations. And it seems from what we know so far, and again, this is leaks and it's half information, but what we know so far is that there are features of the proposed deal that seem fairly weak, that may put Iran on a pathway eventually toward nuclearization.
If the deal looks weak and the relationship with Israel is bad, does Israel go and act on its own?
Well, this has been the fear in Washington for years. The Obama administration and even the Bush administration before it done a good job of holding Israel's fire, if you will, telling them, I mean, literally in 2012, President Obama said, Israel doesn't have to do whatever it's thinking about doing because we've got Israel's back. That's the direct quote. Netanyahu no longer believes that the United States, or President Obama to be specific, has Israel's back. So yes, we come back into a phase where Israel might feel desperate enough and not trusting enough of the United States that it feels it has to go do something on its own.
What did you feel about the administration's, the way they've been playing this? You know, the relationship has to exist on Wednesday. Susan Rice's comments. What was your reaction?
Well, the relationship, this is a very, very important point you make. The relationship must exist and must function on Wednesday because we're about to head into this very intense period where if the United States makes this deal with Iran, it's going to have to give strategic reassurance to not only Israel but all of the Arab states. And so they have to have good communications and some level of trust. I would think at this point that the administration realizes that it needs to pull back a little bit from the heated rhetoric. There is animosity, genuine animosity between this administration and the Netanyahu administration. But it's too dangerous. You can't have it at a certain point.
And how about between the president and the prime minister?
Well, you know, I asked the president in 2012, I asked him, I said, are you and Netanyahu friends? And he gave me a very elegant answer. He said, well, you know, we're so busy with our own jobs that it's hard to, but that was eliding the point. They really don't like each other. They really actively don't like each other and trust each other, and that is a problem for allies.
How to repair that?
This is the $64,000 question. It has to be repaired. Mature voices must be heard, and people must understand that if this is going to succeed, if bringing Iran back into the fold or trying to make a strong nuclear deal with Iran is to succeed, that Israel has to understand that this is the way to go, that there's no alternative, as Senator Feinstein said, that, you know, we're all waiting for Benjamin Netanyahu to give a better idea. I mean, that's what everybody's waiting for. So on the Israeli side, they have to recognize that the United States is their true one and only and indispensable ally and deal with it accordingly. And the Obama administration has to realize that it can't cut Israel adrift. That would be not only fair to Israel and would go against the wishes of the majority of the American people, but it would be dangerous. It would destabilize the Middle East, which is already unstable enough.
All right, Jeffrey Goldberg, thanks so much for being with us.
Thank you.
Stay with us. We'll be back with our political panel in a moment.